Hello. This week it was our choice of an award that we would like to choose a book from. So I chose the Scott King Award, and from that I chose Each Kindness, and it is by Jacqueline Woodson. I previously read another book of hers that I really enjoyed for another award a couple weeks ago, and so I really wanted to see what other books she had and what stories she had created. The illustrator is E.B. Lewis. Publisher is Nancy Paulson Books, and it was copyrighted in 2012. The genre is fiction, and it's 32 pages, and the age range for this book is 5 to 8 years. So this book was very, it kind of tugged at my heartstrings a little bit because it's about this young girl named Maya who comes to class one day because she has just moved to this new town, and she's a little different than everybody because her clothes are a little rugged, her shoes are a little beat up. You can tell that maybe she doesn't come from a great home life, or maybe they just don't have all the money in the world. And she sits down next to this little girl and smiles at her, and that little girl just kind of moves her stuff further away from her and doesn't smile back. And for days and months, she just looks the other way when Maya sits down and smiles at her. And so every day Maya comes to recess with toys in her hands, like jacks and a ball or cards or just something like that, something small every single day, and asks Maya and her friends if they want to play with her. And every day they say no, and so she ends up playing alone. And then one day she shows up, and she has like a newer dress and newer shoes on, but they look like they maybe are hand-me-downs, and her friends just snicker. The little girl and her friends snicker over something that one of them says, and it's like her new nickname is Never New because she never has anything new. It's secondhand or hand-me-downs, and so they always were just snickering over rude comments over Maya. And so that day with the new dress and new shoes, Maya didn't ask the girls to play, and she ended up just jump roping all by herself all recess. And then the next day she didn't come to school, or the next day, and eventually the teacher, on the day that they do this activity about kindness, she tells the class that Maya has moved away and her family has just moved somewhere else. And on that day the little girl feels awful, and she keeps telling herself, if Maya just shows up, I'll smile at her, I'll be nice. And you know what, that never happened because they moved away. And so they do this activity where the teacher sets out a bowl of water and gives each student a stone, and the student is then required to drop the stone in and say something kind that they have done, and watch the stone create ripples in the water. And that represents what kindness can do. It can create ripples and just keep spreading kindness to one another. And so the little girl who was not nice to Maya, feels awful about it, and she can't think of anything kind that she's done when it's her turn to drop the stone. And so she just passes the stone along, and she just feels terrible. And so after school that day, she goes to a pond and she picks up a bunch of stones and throws them in, and says all the kind things she wishes she would have said to Maya, and watches the ripples fade away, just as all of the comments she could have said do, because she doesn't get the opportunity to say that anymore. So my reflection about this book is a really great one, because I think not only does this book have great illustrations, I really do enjoy the illustrations that they have. It also shows how important kindness is, and how little or how small one thing can be, but how big of an effect it can make. And so I think it really just shows the importance of a nice word to everyone, even if they are a little different than you or your friends, and how much that really can impact somebody, not only them, but maybe yourself, just like it affected that little girl because she just felt awful that she had not been kind to Maya. And so I think it just shows the importance of how you need to be kind every single day to every person, even if they're a little different than you, or even if you're having a bad day, just spread kindness. And so an activity that I would want to do is the one that the teacher did in the book, because I think it would be important to then have my own students grab their own stone and tell me something that they have done out of kindness, and drop the stone and see that ripple effect for themselves. And I think that would really stick with them. And I think that this is a great way to portray kindness and the effects that it can have. So yeah, I would like to do the bowl with the stone activity with my class because I think it would have a lasting effect on them. Thanks.